Do you know the difference between me, you, Terry, and Hussam? We rate this team higher than him. That's why he's like, yeah, back the manager. It's okay. Even if you come fifth or sixth, it's okay. That's why Hussam is way more calm than us, Terry. You say many crises in your title. I say it's a many crisis. Hussam is like, yeah, but you still back the manager. Hussam, the difference between us and you is that we rate this Chelsea higher than you. You just don't. You don't rate them as high. So for you, it's all right. They are where they belong. Even if they drop a little bit, who cares? Back the manager and it will come good at some point. That's the difference between us and you.
But here's the thing. Today, Newcastle play Wolves, right? Today, Newcastle play Wolves. If Newcastle beat Wolves, Chelsea are out of the top 4 for the first time probably since the start of the season. Right?
Yes.
So now we will see then the reaction of the Chelsea fans. Do they actually believe in Maresca? Do they believe that Maresca can drag them back to the top 4 and finish where they need him to finish? Or they don't? This is the $1 million question. Now, I've already broke it down exactly what happened with Chelsea. I've given you the honest explanation. Terry's right. This is a war of opinions.
Always.
This
right.
is not. No, you're not. No, you're not. This is a war. This is a war of opinions. This is not a war within Chelsea Football Club. I think Todd Bowley and Iqbali will stick with Maresca even if he finishes 6th or 7th. That's the difference, I think, between this and Poch, because this is their guy, 5-year contract, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the fan base, it's not the same. It's a war of opinions, because you've got the ones that didn't want Poch gone, who are now waiting for Maresca to go through 3, 4, 5, 6 bad games in a row to go like, we told you we should have kept Poch. And I'm not going to lie, I might be one of them. You know, even though I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I will bring up that conversation. But when it comes to the other side of the argument, I listen, if I'm being fair and balanced, I will say Maresca has shown enough signs. This is not more about me rating them or not. Maresca has shown them enough signs. Just like Ainge has shown us enough signs. When the whole Spurs team is fit, they're not that bad. Like, they're a very, very good team to watch. They're destroying opposition, blah, 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 blah. So there are signs from Ainge. So when it comes to Chelsea, with Maresca, I think you have enough signs for you to stick with him. I don't think there should be conversations about sacking Maresca. But when it comes to personnel, the personnel conversation hasn't changed for me. I think Chelsea can win the league next season. Forget all this BS, regardless where they finish. I think they can win the league this season. But in order for that to happen, this summer, you need to give up on this under-21s BS, go sign 3 at least top-class proven players, no need world-class, top-class proven players, and I think you take your team to the
next. So if Chelsea finish 6, you have the same energy? If Maresca falls off and he repeats the Leicester thing, Adi, next season they can win the league?
For me, personally, I would keep the same energy because there are signs are there that they can improve. Just like last season, the signs were there under Poch that they could improve. Both things are true.
Did you believe that they could have won the league this season if they kept Poch?
No, because that...
Why? Do you think Poch is worse than Maresca?
Signings. More that only happens with signings.
But
what about the manager then? What about the manager?
But potentially he could have done. Let's say Poch stayed and they continued to improve in the same, like the back end of the season, and he had a similar start to Enzo Maresca. I think it would be fair to sit here now and say I don't think they've got enough to win the league this year, but another good summer in the window, potentially they could get over the line. And my question mark over Poch would be, does he have the cojones for it? Because he has that question mark against him as an individual. I do agree with a lot of what Hussam says. I think they've shown that they're a team that's on its way to becoming title contenders. They need more quality in the team. They need more quality in the squad. I think everybody can see that. The one thing is this. Chelsea suffer with this standards FC problem. And that doesn't mean they shouldn't have high standards. No, they do. And
Terry, you're never going to let this go. You're never going to let this go.
You don't know what I'm going to say, do you? No, what I mean is by I'm not talking about... Listen, I would say about 80% of the people that talk about standards online are doing it for attention. I don't actually think they mean what they say. It's a little bit performative. But Chelsea as a football club for 20 years developed this notion of let's just sack a manager and bring the next guy in and we will keep winning. This only happened for a particular period of time when they were able to spend unlimited amounts of money, and they were able very quickly to build a squad that had such a superior core compared to most other EPL teams and most European sides. They then kept that core and carried on adding to it again and again and again. The problem is that gets ignored by the standard merchants is they're no longer that Chelsea with that core. You can't just keep sacking a manager and at some point it will work. because they're not coming in and standing upon the same. They're trying to stand upon the shoulder of the giants, but they're no longer standing on those. There's no giant to stand on. It's a very average height man. Okay, they're not piggybacking upon something great and then trying to help get it to a next level. That greatness isn't there. That quality isn't there right now. When they went from Ranieri to Jose, they had a team that was a Champions League side and a team that only really missed out on winning the league because Arsenal went invincible. Jose, by the way, an upgrade, took them to that next level as an example. That core then were at the club with new additions and quality additions to it for the next 5, 6, 7 years. But that approach stopped working, and we saw that towards the back end of Roman's era because they stopped themselves. They stopped themselves challenging for league titles. What they need to do is stick with somebody for a period of time until they have that solid core, that brand of football that works, that team that has won or is close to winning. Then I think you can go back to yielding that standard like an axe. At the moment, it's too early, in my personal opinion. And I know that, I don't know, I just feel that I don't know why it keeps getting pushed so hard. Everybody wants their club to behave like their club did at the peak of their powers. But when their club isn't at the peak of their powers, they didn't behave that way to get there. They had to build it differently. And I just find it a little bit odd that people remove the context of how they got to the top. Man United fans do it. No, we just need to keep sucking until we get to the top. Look, we had Fergie and he just always maintained it. But it took Fergie 6.5, 7 years to build it because it was broken when he took over. Removing that part of Fergie's history does him the biggest disservice in our football club's history. It really, really does. Equally, Roman didn't take over a team broken mid-table, never competed or won a trophy in 20, 30, 40 years. That had to be built from the ground up. He took over a Champions League winning team that was in and around the top 4 regularly, that had won domestic trophies, and that had been close to winning a league title. And he added, with unlimited spending power at that point, by the way, added more quality to it and had more money to spend than anyone in the history of English football. If you remove that context, of course, standard FC approach works. But in reality, it's stupid. They have to stick with this manager for a period of time. They've got to drop all this Poch versus Maresca, my opinion, your opinion, and do what's best for their football club. In my view, if they don't,
even if there is a manager better than him available,
if there's a manager,
let me put the hypothetical for you first before you answer. Let me put the hypothetical for you.
Go on.
I saw that Enzo Maresca played very good football, and if I was a Chelsea fan, I was very optimistic. Leicester fans kept warning us, but this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. We didn't believe. Now they go on and they don't recover. Let's assume they don't recover, right? Because if they recover, there is no conversation. He's good. Keep backing him. Now they go and finish 6th or something like this season. And there is a better manager available in the market. Do they stick to with Maresca?
Great question. So there's a great bit of context there. If Maresca and his team start to perform to a level that's nowhere near where this Chelsea team today should be, it becomes a conversation. But for me, this is a mini crisis. It's 5 games. If that 5 games goes to 10, goes to 15, goes to 20, and have only won a couple of games, then it's a different conversation because you may not have a good enough coach. You may not have a good enough manager. But this is a person that a few weeks ago, everybody was lauding, going, wow, look what he's doing year 1. The opinion shouldn't be changing that quickly, in my humble opinion. It would be different if he was here 3 or 4 years, he'd already won trophies, and he was falling away, and you could see a grip of the squad being let go. But for now, I think what they need to do is be supporters and support their team, be as encouraging as possible. They should be looking to push as much negative conversation away as they can, while still addressing the problems that they face in this particular moment. Now, of course, there are permutations. There are different scenarios that may see my opinion change, your opinion change, Chelsea's opinion changing. But that's all that's hypotheticals, and they're fine to have in football. They're part of the debate. But in the here and now, when I'm saying what I am, Chelsea fans have got to try and keep the atmosphere at their club as pure, clean, and positive as possible. They still have a very young squad who are, by definition, less likely to handle that pressure as well as a more senior squad. And they've got to create a little bit more continuity. They need that continuity so they can build from, so that they're in a structure that is more stable for the flexibility of changing a head coach.
You're
You know,
asking the wrong fan base, but fine.
So if you think about Springboard, Springboard is flexible, but it needs a strong structure to be attached to, right? That is what they need. If you want some flexibility, you need a strong structure. And it might be the wrong fan base. I'm just saying, if they keep going down this road of, well, Roman just used to sack until we got it right, we'll keep doing that. I don't think you're ever going to develop a squad that can win you the league. I think you need to give someone time. Now, if they're completely wrong and they're winning one game in 20, that's a different scenario. That's that individual coach isn't right. But they've got to find a coach who they can have there for 2 or 3 seasons to integrate this team, to build that confidence and resilience so that they're able to win these major trophies.
I haven't
But
yet changed
can I
my
just say one
opinion.
thing? Sorry, Mo. I want to say one thing.
Let me give you one second. I haven't changed my opinion yet on Enzo Maresca. But there's a lot of Chelsea fans that they say, what if this continues? And this is what YouTube content is. What if this continues? What if this many crises go into 10 games? Because it can happen. I think the manager is good. I think the manager is good because he has shown signs that he can play good football and can be flexible. For some reason, in the last month or so, he's changed. And managers can change.
So I understand that. Before we go to super chats, I would say this. That's where it's about, and I know we three do this. This is why it's about listening to each other as well. I agree with you. If this form continues into 10, 20, 30 games, it becomes a conversation. I also understand if somebody thinks it's going to become 10, 20, 30 games, why they would say, get rid of him today. Because if you think that's going to happen, I understand you having that opinion. But it's also important for that individual to be open-minded enough to listen to another Chelsea fan or a rival fan or a pundit who thinks it is bad. This has been poor, but remember the good times. It could turn around, give it some patience and some encouragement. That is it. Maresca turning this round and getting back onto a good winning streak at this moment in time is probably more likely than him winning 1 in 10, 1 in 20 games. So I feel that it's about trying to keep the encouragement levels up as opposed to just going down the, yep, this manager's dud, let's move on to the next one. Because I don't know if he is a dud right now. I'm not convinced. If you think he is, then you think he is. Let's go to some of these super